How's it going, guys? Today we're going to talk about how to hack Google AdWords for your business. So I want to start by telling you a little bit about myself and why you should or should not trust what I have to say up here. I formerly was on the AdWords team at Google. On that team, I was on a team called Accelerated Growth. That team focused on helping high-growth startups scale their advertising dollars, going from $1,000 a day to $10,000 or even $100,000 a day in ad spend. I'm currently the co-founder and CEO at AdHawk. AdHawk is the easiest way to simplify your digital advertising. Basically, what we do is we built a digital advertising assistant that packages together machine learning and data science to help you optimize and report on your Facebook ads and Google ads. A little fun fact about myself that my team likes to make fun of me about very often is actually how I made my way to Google was in college. I was doing a bunch of mock interviews, and during the mock interviews, I just couldn't figure out how to tie my own tie. It was very embarrassing, and ever since then, I decided I wasn't going to go to any interviews where I had to wear a tie, and that's how I landed on Google. So my team still makes fun of me for that today. So I'm going to talk about what we're going to go through today. I'm going to start with the basics of AdWords. We're going to go through a little more advanced techniques, some things that can help you beat the competition, help you save a little bit of money. We're then going to talk about a sales funnel that we like to look at, some different campaign types that you probably aren't running, and then I'll leave you off with some things to remember. Okay, so the most basic part of AdWords is location targeting. Every single campaign, you have to target a specific location. Now, the most popular way to target is radius targeting. So you could pick individual zip codes, you could pick individual states, or individual countries that you want to target. Most customers we find do radius targeting. So they can pick somewhere like Toronto and say, I want to show my ads 5, 10, 15, 50 miles around Toronto. That's probably the most basic way and the most popular way to target your ads. But there are some advanced techniques inside of this basic setting that can help you save a lot of money and beat your competition. The first one is income level targeting. This is something that's actually hidden within AdWords in the advanced settings feature. So you can target people based on if they're in the top 10% of income, top 20% income, or even lower 50% of income. This is really important. For example, let's say you sell luxury watches. You may want to increase your bids to someone that is in the top 10% of income within Canada, but decrease your bids to someone that's in the lower 50% of income in Canada. And what that actually allows you to do is you can show your ads to everybody. But if someone's in the lower 50%, your clicks will be cheaper. If someone's in the top 10%, you're going to raise your bids so that your ads can show higher on the page. It's a way for you to help save money and just target maybe a more precise customer. So there's some other hidden settings inside of the location targeting. Again, most people will just target a radius, like I said before, but doing these couple of things will help you save money. You can target central commercial areas, you could target universities, and you could target airports. So I'll give you a couple examples on how to use this. Let's take Uber or Lyft. Every time they create a campaign, they're not going to go in and put in every single airport across the world in which they want to target. Instead, they can just do airports within the world, or within the United States, or within Canada, I guess excluding Halifax. And you can make bid adjustments based on that. Now, same thing with universities or central commercial areas. If you're a locksmith, you may want to show your ads everywhere, but in central commercial areas, there's a lot of businesses, and you want to increase your bids so you get more impressions, more people see your ads, so you might want to increase your bids in central commercial areas. So there's another way that actually I've seen a lot of companies at Google and a lot of companies that we work with use these location settings. Let's say you're targeting all of Canada, and you know that most people in Canada are your customer, but you know that college students aren't your customer. How can you exclude people in universities? There actually is no way to do that. Google doesn't give you a tool to exclude people in universities or people at airports or even people with different income levels. But what you can do is you can add this as a targeting. So you can target all of Canada, right? You can add, let's just say, universities within Canada, and then you can decrease your bid of universities in Canada by 95%. That's actually the only way to make sure you don't show your ads to people at universities. So you have to think of these location targetings as not just ways of people you want to target, but a hack of how to actually not show your ads to people that Google won't directly tell you how to do that. So you've got to kind of think of it as adding location targeting and decreasing locations. So the next very basic thing is just ad scheduling. When you set up your AdWords account, your ads are going to show 24/7. That means they'll show proportionally from 3, 4, 5 in the morning to 3, 4, 5 p.m. We find a lot with our customers that about 25% of their budget is wasted from the hours of 2 a.m. to 8 a.m. When setting up your first account, I would recommend showing it 24/7, let the data do the talking. But once you start collecting data, you'll probably find that at 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, you're getting a lot of clicks, but not many sales. So with that, you can do day parting. You can show your ad only during certain times or certain hours. Maybe if you're a restaurant, you only show your ads from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., but then increase your bids during breakfast hours, lunch hours, or dinner hours. So day parting, although it is very basic, you can decide, maybe I don't want to show my ads from 2 to 7 in the morning and save 25% of your budget for better performing hours. So when people come to us and say, my AdWords account isn't performing, can you take a look at it? The number one thing that we look at, and this is by far the number one thing we look at, is their device settings. We find that most of the time, your conversion rates are way different on mobile versus desktop versus tablets. This is tablet adjustments actually just launched. So you can see what your cost per acquisition is on mobile versus desktop versus tablets. And what we find is that if you don't make any adjustments to your device settings, you're going to spend 90% of your budget on mobile, and that might not be where your actual customers are, and that might be a much higher cost per acquisition than desktop. So similar to what I said about locations, the only way to not show your ads on mobile devices, tablets, or computers is to give it a negative 100% bid adjustment. There's no setting that says turn off mobile ads or turn off desktop ads or turn off tablet ads. You actually have to give it a negative 100%. So if you wanted to make a desktop-only campaign, you would do a negative 100% adjustment on mobile, a negative 100 on tablet, and that's how you would have a desktop-only campaign. It's a little backwards. Lastly, and this actually just launched, Google launched this a couple months ago, you can actually make adjustments based on gender and age. So again, if you don't want to show to males, you can decrease your bid adjustment by 100, or if you don't want to show to males ages 18 to 25, you can do that as well. Now keep in mind, all the adjustments you make here layer on top of each other. So if you're making a negative 5% adjustment to your bids for men and then a negative 5 to people who are 18 to 25, just know that those are going to be on top of each other. So that's some of the basics. I want to talk about the funnel that we talk a lot about at AdHawk. We view for most small to medium businesses, it's not your typical sales funnel. It actually looks a little bit more like this beer funnel here. The reason for that is AdWords is very competitive. Most of the time, you need to figure out a way to bring people to your website in a very cheap way, but people that are relevant. And we can do that with display ads and Gmail ads, and I'll talk about that in a second. Then only a portion of those people are actually going to buy your service, call you, or convert. So how do you bring those people back to your website? You can do that with different types of display remarketing, dynamic remarketing, which I'll get into. And then how do you seal the deal through Google Shopping and branded search and general search campaigns? So how do we make them aware? So the first way to make people aware is with display ads. Google display ads cover 2 million websites and reach almost 90% of the internet. It's websites in which customers have put AdSense on their websites, which allows Google to put ads on their websites. These are usually image ads. These ads can be put on websites all the way from CNN, Wall Street Journal, all the way to small cooking blogs, baseball blogs, Gmail accounts, or even mobile apps. Now, with display campaigns, clicks are less expensive, which is why it's a really good way to make people aware. But the intent isn't necessarily there like Google search. So some things to keep in mind when making a display campaign, and I'll show you how to set one up and how to target. When you're creating a display campaign, you can actually see which websites your ads are showing up on. So you're saying, I want to target people that are interested in cars. So you want to show your ads on all websites that have to do with cars. Well, you actually aren't picking which websites. You're just telling Google people that are interested in cars or websites about cars. In the Placements tab on Google, you can actually see all of the websites which you're actually showing up in. So Google will list them all out for you. You can go through them. You can exclude them. You can bid differently on them. But if you see a lot of mobile apps coming up, you'll see mobile app this, mobile app that. The only way to exclude them would be to add AdSense for mobileapps.com as a negative website. It is the only way to do it. Google will not broadcast that. They will not have a setting for that. The only way to do it is to exclude the website AdSense for mobileapps.com. And now I'm going to talk about how to target and the best way to use display campaigns. So display campaigns can target people in 5 different ways. You can use interests, in-market, topics, keywords, and placements. The first one is interest targeting. Interest targeting targets people based on their interests. So if you're looking to target people who are interested in cooking, you might want to do interest targeting cooking. But keep in mind, those people could be on any website. They could be on a website about, I don't know, not cooking, or they could be on a website about sports. You're targeting them based on the person, not the website, and that's how interest targeting works. In-market targeting works very similarly. You're targeting the person, not the website. But in this example, Google has seen, either based on the user's search history or based on the websites or other triggers that they've found, that this person is in market for a service. So that person's probably more likely to convert. Those clicks are probably a little bit more expensive than interest targeting. But again, you're targeting the person, not the website. Then there's topic targeting. That's the website. So I want to target topics about cooking. You will only show up on topics about cooking, websites about cooking, and that's it. There's keyword targeting. So if you want to show up on websites that mention a specific keyword. So if I want to show up on websites that mention, cooking with frying pans, you will only show up on websites that mention cooking with frying pans. And then placements are, if you know exactly which websites where your customers exist, you can just pick those websites and only show there. So I want to talk about how to use all of these together and some of the best techniques to do this. And this is what, honestly, most of the best performing customers I saw at Google and at AdHawk do. So generally, they'll have 3 display campaigns. They'll have an interest campaign and a topics campaign to start. Those are prospecting campaigns. What that'll do is it'll show your ads, you'll run it for a couple of weeks, and you'll start to look at that placements report like I talked about before, which will show you all the websites which your ads actually showed up on. So based on the interest of the person that you selected, based on the topics of the websites you selected, what are the websites we actually showed up on? You're going to go through that list. You'll exclude some of them because they just really don't make sense. But you might find 10 or 20 websites that your conversion rates are through the roof, you get a ton of sales, and you're finding that these websites are really great. The third campaign that you'll want to create is a placements campaign. And you'll want to take those placements from the topics campaign or the in-market campaign or the interest campaign, pull out those placements, and make a placements-only campaign. So you can kind of think of it as like 2 campaigns do prospecting. They find the right placements for you to bid on, and then you create a placements campaign to say, now that I know our customers live on these websites specifically, I can make a placements campaign only. And those multiple campaigns allow you to control budget, and always having 2 or 3 prospecting campaigns to find new websites is really the best technique there. Now, one other thing to note is you can have a campaign with all of these layered on top of each other. So someone who's interested in cooking, in market for cooking supplies, on a website about cooking that mentions frying pans, you could have those all on top of each other. Keep in mind the inventory will be lower, and the cost per clicks will be higher because the inventory is lower and more precise. So when you're adding in more of these targeting settings, it actually makes it narrower, not wider. So some other things to remember about display ads. I just kind of talked about the campaign for each targeting type. I mentioned before mobile devices. A lot of times with display campaigns, image ads don't work on mobile devices. Sometimes you get those ads that you click on by mistake on your phone, and you're charging someone $1 or $2 for that click. You don't want to be charged that, so definitely look at your mobile device settings when you're running display campaigns. So let me tell you how you would set this up and how you can kind of utilize this. So I talked about a display campaign a minute ago. This is a display campaign with the placement of mail.google.com, because you know specifically these ads are all going to go to someone's inbox, mail.google.com. And then you layer keywords on top of that. Now, let's say I want to target people who are getting emails from diapers.com. I would make the keyword diapers.com. So the keyword is diapers.com, the placement is mail.google.com, and what I'm doing is anyone that gets emails from diapers.com is going to see my ad. But if instead I want to target people that are saying diapers in their email, you would make the keyword diapers, not diapers.com. So the difference is in the .com or the not .com. This is the best way to target your competitors or similar products. If you were to try to bid, if you're a hotel and you're trying to bid on all of your competitors' names, it's going to get really expensive. But if I can get myself in front of everyone who's getting emails from Marriott and Westin and Four Seasons, well, that's perfect. That's right in front of my customer for a really cheap cost. And this works really well for smaller businesses as well, especially small startups that maybe are breaking into a new scene. Think about someone like Airbnb. Who knew about Airbnb beforehand? Who thought that was a weird concept, staying in someone else's house? But they could have done, they knew, okay, there's other companies similar that break this boundary of sharing economy. Maybe anyone getting emails from Uber, well, those people are similar, and they're probably more likely to actually book an Airbnb or host an Airbnb. So anyone getting emails from Uber, I want to show them an ad that says, you know, have you tried Uber? Make sure you try Airbnb. So some best practices when using Gmail ads. Throughout all of AdWords, you're going to measure clicks. Now, a click in a Gmail ad is that first click on the collapsed ad. It's actually when they click on that yellow banner. But you want to add in the column clicks to website. What that actually means is they clicked on that first ad, they then clicked on the image ad, and they got to your website. So that's specifically for Gmail ads. You always want to add in clicks to website, or else you'll be confused why the clicks on AdWords don't match the clicks in your analytics or the clicks to your web page. You want to also try different ad images and different templates. So if you have actually a developer on your team, you could actually upload an HTML ad. And what's really cool about that is it can be interactive. So if someone clicks on the first ad, they can then on the second ad put in their phone number or fill out a newsletter information or actually call you right from there without going to your actual site. There's a whole bunch of different ads you can make in that expanded ad format, but this is very unique to Google. It's a very cheap way to drive relevant traffic to your site, and I highly recommend it, especially if you have competitors, similar products, or maybe even a smaller budget to use in AdWords. So now that we've brought relevant traffic to our site through display campaigns, through Gmail ads, maybe only 5 or 10% of people actually converted. How do we bring that other 90% of people that came to our site, went around our site, how do we bring them back to actually purchase, call us, buy our service, whatever that might be? And that's where remarketing comes in. So remarketing is someone comes to your website, they either go to the home page or they go around your website, but then they don't actually convert, buy your product, call you, do whatever your desired action is. You want to follow them around the internet with an image ad reminding them, hey, don't forget, you almost bought this product. It looks like you forgot. There's a whole bunch of different types of remarketing. I'm going to start with display remarketing. Display remarketing is image focused. It can be shown on YouTube and the display network. And when you're creating display remarketing ads, you really want to show different messages, and I'll explain why here. And this goes into the multiple custom combinations part. So a bunch of people go to your website. Some of the people are going to go to the home page. Some people are going to make it to the checkout page. Some people are going to make it only to a products page. You want to show those people different ads, which is why you want to segment out your list with multiple different custom combinations. So you're going to want to say, all right, here's a list of people that got to my home page. Here's a list of people that got to my checkout page. And here's a list of people that got to just the product page or just my About Us page. Well, someone that got to your checkout page and didn't buy, they're really close, right? They're really likely to convert, and more than likely what stopped them was shipping prices or just prices in general. So you might want to show these guys a remarketing ad that says, hey, don't forget to check out 5% off if you buy today. However, someone that got to your products page or About Us page, they're not that far down the funnel. So you might want to show them a marketing ad that says, hey, I know you think we did XYZ service. We also offer ZYX and something else as well. So you always want to show different images based on where the user is in the funnel, and really custom tailor it to that audience. Now, 2 other best practices I would highly recommend is with remarketing ads, always create your own image ads. Google has an image ad builder. It's honestly not very good. And you can create your own image ads on Upwork or Fiverr for a couple of dollars. If you're going to be spending thousands of dollars on online advertising, you can afford to spend a couple of dollars on the image assets that you're actually going to be using. And lastly is view-through conversions. So Google will track all the conversions for you as long as you have the pixel on your website. It'll say, all right, user clicked on your ad, they went through the funnel, they bought the product. They'll also track view-through conversions. And what a view-through conversion is someone saw your ad, didn't click on it, but they did buy. So Google's not saying, hey, this was definitely us, but they are saying, hey, they did see your ad and they did buy. We're not going to charge you for it, and they didn't click on your ad, but they could have seen it and then went directly to your website. It's something I would take with a little bit of a grain of salt, but it is good to know that it's producing something. So some things to know with remarketing and how it works. So how it works is this little diagram right here. So a customer comes to your website. You then drop a cookie or a piece of code on your website. They then leave your website without doing your desired action, whether that's a phone call, a conversion, whatever it might be, and then a remarketing ad follows them all around the internet. Like I said, you want to change the messaging based on which audience they're part of and how long they're on your site, which pages they were on. So that's remarketing on display. That's image ads following you around the internet where, I went to Airbnb.com, I didn't book, and all of a sudden I'm on all these other websites, and Airbnb is reminding me on the left-hand side, right-hand side that I forgot to book my Airbnb. There's also remarketing for search. It works very similarly, but on the search network with text ads. So we'll use our business for an example here. So someone comes to our website, they don't fill out our lead form, but they read the About Us page. I know they're interested, but something stopped them. And then a week goes by, and they type in digital advertising blogs. Well, that's not necessarily what I want to be advertising for, but that person has already been to our website. They know what we do. They're familiar with our brand. I want to bid up on them and bring them back to our site. So I may run a remarketing list for search and say, all right, this person's been to my site. I want to really bid higher on this person, and maybe I'll offer them a 10% discount, or I'll say something like, don't forget you checked out our About Us page. Come back and fill out our lead form. So remarketing list for search uses text ads on Google search. Remarketing display uses image ads across the whole internet. The last type of remarketing, and this is mostly for e-commerce customers, is dynamic remarketing. It's probably the one you're most familiar with. If you've been on Amazon ever, you've probably been dynamic remarketed to about 1 billion times. It's when you click on a specific product, you don't buy that product follows you around everywhere, and if that product's not following you around, similar products are following you around. That's dynamic remarketing. That works only if you have a Google Merchant Center account and usually paired with a Google Shopping account. Again, mostly for e-commerce customers. Won't get too into that, but it's a little bit different than Google Display remarketing just because Google Display is a static image that you decide you want to show, whereas dynamic remarketing is that product is following them around everywhere. So that's remarketing. That's how we bring people back, a percent of them that didn't convert that we want to keep bringing back to the site. So now how do we seal the deal? How do we take the rest of these people that came to our site, didn't convert the first time, didn't convert in remarketing? What else can we do to try to get them? And that's where search campaigns come in. So search campaigns are generally the most expensive. They're also the highest conversion rates. But in some industries, especially in B2B, those clicks could be $40 or $50 per click. I've seen clicks for, emergency evacuation, emergency flood insurance. I've seen those clicks upwards of $300 per one click. So sometimes search can be really expensive, but it can also be very lucrative for you. So the way Google search ads work, when you search on Google, you have all the organic listings. On top of the organic listings, there's a couple of ads. And below the organic listings, there's a couple of ads as well. Your ads can be shown on Google Search or Google Search Partners. Search Partners is websites that Google licenses out their searches to. I'd recommend starting on both and just segmenting a couple weeks later and seeing how you perform on Partners, turn it on or turn it off based on performance. There's not a detailed list of partners. Google isn't very transparent about that, but I know AOL is one. I'm not sure of a couple of the other ones. So with Google search ads, they work with positions. So generally, there's 3 ads on top and 5 on the bottom. And position 1 is all the way on top. Position 8 is all the way on the bottom. The easiest way to get a number 1 is just to bid as high as you can, and you'll get number 1. But there are other ways where you can bid less than someone and still get number 1 ahead of them, and that has to do with quality score. So quality score is a ranking that your keywords are given by Google, a 1 out of 10, 7 being average. It is kind of a black box. I'll tell you how they come up with it, but if you have a 6 quality score and your boss is telling you got to make a 7 quality score, good luck. I mean, there's no real science to go from a 6 to a 7 or a 7 to an 8. The way quality scores come up with is your expected click-through rate, so what Google thinks your click-through rate's going to be, your ad relevance to your keyword, so how relevant is this ad relate to this keyword, and how relevant does your website relate to this keyword. So this is, although it's a very big black box, it's helpful, or else Amazon would bid on every single word possible and just take the traffic everywhere. Or for instance, if I'm bidding on a competitor, I may have to bid $5 for position 1. They have to bid on $2 for position 1 because Google says your ad's not that relevant, your website certainly isn't that relevant. You can take 1, but you're going to have to bid a whole lot more than they would. So really all I can say about quality score is make sure your keyword is in your ad, your keyword is on your landing page, and you want to start with high click-through rates. Now, to start with high click-through rates, you can just bid aggressively. For the first couple of weeks, way overbid what you're willing to bid. Start with really high click-through rates because your ads are going to be really close to the top. You'll get a quality score. The quality score generally doesn't change that much after you're giving it for a couple of weeks, and then you can decrease your bids back down. Just because the only really thing you control here is your expected click-through rate by doing that. So another thing I want to talk about is a search terms report. This is, again, probably the second biggest mistake that people make when running Google search campaigns. There's a whole bunch of different ways you can add keywords to your search campaigns, whether that be broad match modified, and I'll get into that for a second. But just because you put your keywords, that doesn't mean that's exactly what people are typing into Google. People can type in variations of that and to actually see your ad. So you'll want to use a search terms report to say, okay, based on my keywords, what are people actually typing into Google? And you can go through this, just like I mentioned about the placements report on display, and eliminate searches that don't make sense. The other cool report inside of Google search campaigns is called an Auctions Insights report. It allows you to see, based on your keywords, who else is bidding on those keywords. So you can find competitors that way. You can find other people to use Gmail ads against. It's a good way just to do a little bit of research and see what else is going on in your small economy there. Lastly, ad extensions, which I'll go to in the end. These are now a small part of quality score. They make your ad bigger. They add a bunch of functionality, and I'll go into what they do and how they offer. So this is probably, for most people that are starting AdWords for the first time, or especially Google search ads for the first time, the most confusing part of it, so I'll try to walk through it a little bit slowly here. So if you have a search campaign, you bid on keywords. And like I said before, you have a search terms report that says, what are people actually typing into Google? That might be confusing because you put in a bunch of keywords saying, this is what I want to bid on, but really, in reality, Google's matching it with a bunch of synonyms and things it thinks is similar. So the most common way people use keywords is broad match. So I'll give you a couple examples up here. So let's say I'm a bike shop. If I bid on the word bike shop with nothing around it, just bike shop as the keyword, you're going to show up for anything, I'm going to say, remotely close to bike shop. Cycle store, I think this is a Google graphic actually, because cycle store is like way too close to what you actually might show up on. You could show up for jobs at a cycle store, or you could show up for news about a bike shop burning down. You could show up for basically anything that might mention bike or shop, which is why the search term report is really important. Now, broad match keywords are generally a little bit cheaper. Because there's so many variables of what you could show up for, you don't really know what you want to show up for. You might want to start with broad match, but you have to stay on top of that search terms report, making sure you're eliminating things every single day, or else you're going to be wasting money. The next type is broad match modified. This is, I'm going to say 95% of our customers at AdHawk use broad match modified keywords. How this works is you add a plus sign next to each word. So plus sign bike, plus sign shop. What that means is the word bike and shop have to be in the search. There can be something in between it or after it, but bike and shop have to be there. No synonyms, no Google matching you with anything they want to match you with. The word bike and shop have to be there. So you'll see an example. You'll show up for bike repair shop. You'll show up for best bike shop. You'll show up for bike shop number. Anything. It'll be a lot tighter. And the search terms will still be a little interesting. You'll still want to go through there, but it'll be a lot tighter than just a broad match campaign. Another one is phrase match. That's with quotes. So if you were to put quotes around bike shop, the difference between phrase match and broad match modified is nothing can go between phrase match. So if you were to look for bike repair shop and you were doing phrase match bidding, you wouldn't show up. But if they were to search local bike shop, you would show up. So again, phrase match is similar to broad match modified, but nothing can go in between what your phrase in quotes is. Even more restricted, you can expect your search terms report to be that much better, but also you're losing out on a lot of traffic because someone could type in anything in between there that might be interesting and worth it to your business. And then the last example is exact match. So if you know exactly what someone's typing in, no changing, no extra words or letters, you can use exact match. So I gave you guys the example of display campaigns before, how you use a topic campaign, an interest campaign, find the placements which work well, and then make a placements campaign based on that. You could do that for search as well, and I would highly recommend it. So if you had a broad match modified campaign and a broad match campaign, you use the search term report to say, wow, I didn't know people typed it in like this, or I didn't know this phrase exactly gets me the most conversions. You can then create a new campaign, exact match only, and only target words that you know have worked for you previously exactly the way they're typed in, bid up really high on it to take advantage of those conversion rates. So some of the principles that I talked about for display and placements work really well with Google search, keywords, and using exact match versus broad match. If you're brand new to AdWords, honestly, the biggest mistake is people just add a bunch of broad match keywords in, and they don't understand why it's not converting, and then they go into the search terms report and are horrified by what they're actually spending money on. So if you're doing that, please check out the search terms report. So lastly, I'm going to talk about extensions. Extensions are a part of quality score. I didn't mention it because it is a small part, and Google just introduced it. Again, we don't know how much they're part of it, if it's 5% of the equation or 50% of the equation. But what I do know is it makes your ad bigger. It's free, and there's zero reason not to use it if it makes sense. So I'm just going to run through all the extensions really quickly and kind of explain to you what they do. The first one is call extensions. Google does not let you have your phone number in your ad, in your text ad. You can't just put your phone number in plain text. You actually have to add a call extension. Call extensions on desktop show your phone number in plain text. On mobile devices, it's a click to call button. The really cool thing about adding a call extension, especially on desktop, is if someone searches bike store, they see your ad, they see your call extension with your phone number up there, they call the phone number, they don't click on the ad, you get that phone call for free because they never actually clicked on your ad. The other thing that Google offers is Google forwarding numbers. This used to cost, I think it was $1 extra per click to use a Google forwarding number. It's now completely free. And the way that works is it'll show a Google forwarding number. That'll forward right to your number. But what's nice is Google can track how long those phone calls lasted, where the phone calls came from, the area code, which keyword triggered it, and you can set up a little equation that says if phone call lasts more than X amount of seconds, let's just say 30 seconds, mark it as a conversion. So you can start figuring out which keywords are making phone calls last longer than whatever your desired length is. So I'd recommend using the forwarding number. Most of the time, people aren't storing phone numbers unless you're like a doctor's office. Using the forwarding number is a pretty good idea. So some other types of extensions. The next one is site links. Site links are 4 little links below the ad. I'm sure you've seen it before. I'll use us for example. Our ad might say, digital advertising software, try us out for free. And then the site links might say about us, learn more, our case studies, and then try us for free. And all of those will take you to different parts of our website so that you don't have to go to our website and try to find the About Us page or try to find the Contact Us page or whatever that might look like. And you can tell what that ad would look like with and without site links. That ad's much bigger than what it would be without the site links. So it takes up more real estate, gives the customer more information about you. Really, site links should be a must for every business unless you only have one page on your entire website. The next one is structured snippets. That's just to tell the customer what types of services you offer, what types of products you offer, what type of tiers you offer, what type of styles. It's just a way to list some things out. Again, if it doesn't make sense to your business, that's fine, but if you can add all of this stuff in, you're just making your ad bigger and bigger and taking away from your competitors' real estate. We then have location extensions. Location extensions will show your address, so if you want people coming into your location, you should add location extensions. One thing to note, and we get this question a lot, is if someone searches for me 100 miles away, I don't want them knowing that I'm so far from them. Google will actually only show your location extension if you're within 25-mile radius, so you don't have to worry about it showing up if someone is really far away. And then the last one is call-out extensions. Call-out extensions are basically just something to set you apart. They're those little bullet points in the ad, and that's where you say stuff like free shipping, or 24/7 customer service, or family-owned and operated, stuff like that. Now, keep in mind, if you're going to add that text to your call-out extensions, you're going to add specific text to your site link extensions, you're going to add specific text to your structured snippet extensions, you don't have to say any of that in the text ad. So you kind of have to figure out, all right, what do I want to say in the text ad? What can I not say in the text ad and show in the call-out extension? What can I not say in the text ad and show in the site link extension? So you can really maximize the amount of value you're showing to the customer. So I'm quickly going to breeze over Google Shopping. I'd be glad to answer questions about this afterwards if there's specific e-commerce clients here. But Google Shopping is like window shopping. If you've typed in a product you were looking for at Google and you saw those image ads up top in a little carousel format, that is Google Shopping. If you're an e-commerce customer, Google Shopping is 100% the way to go. Reason for that is the customer can see what your product looks like and the price of it before clicking on the ad. So to give you a quick example, if I'm selling watches again, and a customer types in luxury watches, well, my text ad will say, here are Todd's luxury watches, 50% off if you buy today, but they have no idea what the watches look like. So the chances of them actually wanting to buy my watch are pretty slim. But Google Shopping, you can see actually what that watch looks like, how much it actually costs, so they have a much better idea going into it, and conversion rates are much higher. To use Google Shopping, you have to set up a Google Merchant Center account, a Google Shopping campaign, and if any of you guys use Shopify, there's plugins that make it really, really easy. So some final things to remember here. AdWords is a very iterative process. If you think you're going to turn it on today and you're going to be rich tomorrow, it's not going to happen. You have to make a lot of mistakes, but you have to be optimizing quickly and trying to continue to do new strategies. I would also look at your budget. If you have a smaller budget, you don't want to create 20 campaigns and each of them be $2 a day, right? You need statistical amount of data to actually make decisions, but it's very iterative. So don't just think, if you're going to try AdWords, you got to give it 3 or 4 months to actually commit to it and say, I'm going to see if this works or doesn't work. The second thing is Google has a phone number that not many people know about and they don't broadcast that often, where you can call them for technical support, strategy questions, really anything. That phone number is 1-866-2-GOOGLE. As long as you have an AdWords or an analytics account, they'll ask you for your AdWords or analytics ID, and they'll answer any questions for you. To be very transparent, the more you spend, the better support you get. The less you spend, the worse support you get. But at least you're getting someone that has an answer, or could find someone else that has an answer. Another thing you want to look at is when you're looking at conversions, if you're sitting there refreshing your page every single minute of the day and saying, why am I not getting sales, why am I not getting sales? Generally, it could take 48 hours for conversions to calibrate into the account. So I would look at your AdWords account in a 7-day window, a 30-day window, or if you want to look at it, wake up the next morning and look at it yesterday, because it could take a little bit of time to actually reflect in the front end of AdWords. I see a lot of our customers will refresh the page on today and just ask why they're not getting any sales or it's not working, and they'll look back yesterday and they'll realize that it was actually working. And then lastly, all of your campaigns should work together. So we talked about a lot of campaigns. Display campaigns may not convert great for you, but the question becomes, are those display campaigns driving relevant traffic and feeding your remarketing campaign that is working really well? And if you were to pause all your display campaigns that look like you're just wasting money and not converting, you wouldn't have a remarketing audience. And if you don't have a remarketing audience, how are you going to do search campaigns? So you've got to look at all of your campaigns as a full funnel, not just this campaign isn't working or that campaign isn't working. It very well might not be, but you want to look at how they work out all together. That's it. Appreciate it.